Welcome to all in your YouTube channel NCERT e-teaching. I am Dr. Kailash Meena going to explain a brief introduction of biological classification from chapter number 2 class 11th biology. Before explaining this topic of the chapter, we need some previous knowledge from chapter 1 the living world, and I made two videos for the chapter. So if you want to watch those video for recap, you can check out from the description below. So what previous knowledge we need to understand this topic? First, we need to identify the basic characters of life. Next, we need to have an understanding of biological organization from atoms to molecules to organisms and biosphere. And one more thing, the understanding of naming living organisms, which is connected or related with biological classification. When we know how we name living things, we are certainly going to have an idea of the organization of biological classification and the theme of biological classification, how it is related to the evolutionary relationships of organisms, and of course how biological classification and naming of living things are interrelated. And the final thing is the domains of life. So in the previous chapter, the living world, we have learned about the five kingdom classification given by R.H. Whitaker, and I also included that this image which you are seeing on your screen, which is showing the five kingdom classification of R.H. Whitaker. This, the bar number B is showing, and you also know from your class 9th science chapter number 7 diversity in the living world that R.H. Whitaker in 1969 given the five kingdom classification. In that classification we learned about five kingdoms. Kingdom 1 was Monera, kingdom 2 was Protista, kingdom 3 was Fungi, 4 Plantae, and 5 Animalia. So we had the idea and the basis of classification. What were the characters on that this classification was based upon? So we have studied many characters, for example presence or absence of nuclear membrane, cell type, presence and absence of cell wall, type of cell wall, mode of nutrition, multicellularity or unicellularity, the body organization. These were few features this five kingdom classification was based upon. Then we also discussed the six kingdom classification given by Colvos, and that classification, why we have discussed the six kingdom classification, although it is not included in class 11th biology NCERT syllabus, because in recent syllabus provided by CBSE we need to have an idea of three domains of life: bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. So for better understanding of these three domains of life, we need to have the understanding of six kingdom, the recent classification given by Colvos in in the year 1977, and the R.H. Whitaker gave this classification, the five kingdom classification, in the year 1969. Although in your class 9th textbook it was written as 1959, and your 11th biology class NCERT textbook is written as 1969, but the correct figure is 1969. So don't confuse with that, because because when we are studying in class 11th, we have studied from class 9, so we may have some confusion between 1969 and 1959. It is 1969 now. So it is obvious that Colewood's classification given in 1977 is recent than the five kingdom classification. What was the difference in that six kingdom classification? The difference was very simple, that we have splitted, or the Colewood have splitted kingdom Monera of R.H. Whitaker into two separate kingdoms, which are Eubacteria and Archaebacteria. Here it is written as bacteria and archaea, but I am saying Eubacteria and Archaebacteria. So these were those six kingdoms. And as we all know, why classification change over time? Because of the advancement in tools and technology of studying living organisms. As we have new tools, new technologies, as we have new information about living organisms, so we change the classification according to our need, which suits best. So we came to know, or our scientists came to know, that the organisms which are prokaryotic organisms, of course included in kingdom Monera, are so different that they must be classified as two separate kingdoms. So those two group of organisms included in Monera was Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. Archaebacteria, the name suggests that they are ancient bacteria, although they are not ancient from Eubacteria, but the name was given according to the understanding at that time, and to making things clear according to the information available at that time. Now, as we accumulated more information, because it is obvious that after 1977, today we are living in 2020, so we have accumulated huge bunch of information about the biological classification. Now we know that bacteria and archaea, it means Eubacteria and Archaebacteria, are so different from each other that we and fungi and plants are not so different. See, if you students of class 11th biology, if you see one human, yourself, one fungi, if you find it in your kitchen or in your tiffin box, if it is rotten, and any plant, you hardly find any similarity. But if you imagine about two prokaryotic cell without nuclear membrane, you can assume more similarity between those cells, and that is why they were classified as Monera previously, the prokaryotic organisms. But what happened is that when we understood the molecular mechanisms, when we understood the molecules, the biochemical features, the deepest features, then we came to know that bacteria and archaea are so different that plant and humans are not. It means plants and humans and fungi are similar, bacteria and archaea are not similar, and that is why we classified them in separate domains. So this idea was very important, and that is why this idea is included in our recent class 11th biology CBSE syllabus. So this is all about the three domains of life. So I hope now it is completely clear. If you want more discussion on these topics, you can watch my previous videos by the playlist also. Now, so let's start today's video. What will be our learning outcomes by watching this video or by having this discussion? So our learning outcome will be, number one, how classification systems have undergone several changes over a period of time. So now I hope that you have an idea how classification changed over time. Simple answer, very oversimplified answer will be, as the time passes, over a period of time, we have more information about living organisms because of the advancement in tools and technology and the perception, and that is why classification system over time. And number 2, the 5 kingdoms of the given by R.H. Whittaker in 1969, we need to summarize that. So I will focus on the learning outcome 2 more in this video or video lecture. Now, this is a table given in your NCERT biology textbook, chapter number 2, in initial 1 or 2 or 3 pages, and this is very important table. By remembering this table, we have a broad understanding of these groups. So let me first label these groups. So we have 5 kingdoms: Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia, given by R.H. Whittaker in 1969. So I hope that we all are familiar with these names, because we are studying them from class 9th and in class 11th also. These names we need to remember throughout our biology curriculum. Next, what is the difference between the class 11th biology and class 9th biology is that we are going deep in these groups. We are going to study these groups in detail, and we are going to study the subgroups or other categories under these groups. So it is going to be complicated when we are going to study these groups. So let me give you one idea that the Monera, Protista and Fungi we are going to study in the same chapter, chapter number 2, biological classification. The chapter number 3 is devoted exclusively to Plantae, and chapter number 4 is devoted to Animalia. So there are 4 chapters and 1 unit for this 5 kingdom classification given by R.H. Whittaker. So there is lot more to learn in every group, in every kingdom. So when we will study groups and subgroups and their features and their examples, we may lost the track. So for making better grip on the track, we need a broad understanding. So I again repeating my statement that while studying unit number 1, class 11th biology, we must have idea of 3 domains and 5 kingdoms clearly every time. So we need not to refer again and again that what was those 5 kingdoms, what were those 3 domains. We need a clear understanding and clear remembering of these groups, and that is why we will focus only on this table in today's lecture. So there are few features, let me label them: 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. There are 5 rows and 5 columns in this table. So 5 rows are the features or characters, and 5 columns are as clearly visible the 5 kingdoms: Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. So we need to remember these features, and these we are going to learn from this during this lecture itself, because they are so easy if we apply few logics. So what are those logics? Logic number 1. See, we all know the difference between prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. What is that difference? The difference is that prokaryotic cells do not have nuclear membrane, and eukaryotic cells do have a nuclear membrane. And what we can find within the nuclear membrane? The DNA, of course. So the DNA of prokaryotic cell is present freely in the cell, and it is called nucleoid. and we can find this DNA in a eukaryotic cell within the nucleus. So this is the difference between prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. And all creatures or all organisms with prokaryotic cellular structures are included in Monera in the 5 kingdom classification system given by R.H. Whittaker. So this will be very simple for us. We can write in feature number 1 prokaryotic for Monera and eukaryotic for all the kingdoms. We need not to concern about the protista, fungi, plantae, animalia, because all Monera are prokaryotic and rest of the kingdoms are eukaryotic. So I hope the first feature is easy to remember for you all, because the prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell, the difference is very simple and clear. And as I have explained now, that what is the difference between a prokaryotic cell and a eukaryotic cell, it is so simple, so obvious, that a prokaryotic cell doesn't have in a nuclear envelope, or it doesn't have a nucleus. And eukaryotic cell do have nuclear envelope and hence have nucleus. So I think, or I hope, that if point 1 is clear to you, then point 3 will be clear to you automatically. So as Monera are prokaryotic, the nuclear envelope or nuclear membrane is absent in them, and in rest of the groups it is present. So by understanding of one simple thing, that Monera are prokaryotic, we have understood the point number 1 and point number 3, and we have covered 10 blocks. See, if we have 5 rows and 5 columns, we are going to have 25 blocks. So we remember within 1 minute 10 blocks of this table. So point number 1 and 3 we can write very easily. Next thing, point number 2, cell wall. So from class 8th science, we are studying the difference between plant cell and animal cell, that plant cells have cell wall and animal cells don't have any cell wall. Very simple. We have studied it in class 8 science in chapter number 8 cells. We have studied the same thing in chapter number 5 class 9 science, the fundamental unit of life. And now we are having the very clear cut idea that animals do not have any cell wall and plants do have cell wall. One more thing, they have cell wall of cellulose. Cellulose is a chemical type of carbohydrate, the major component of the cell wall. And I hope that you have studied this thing in class 9th also, because in class 8th we only had the idea of presence or absence of cell wall. So plants have cell wall of cellulose, of course the cell wall is present. Next, coming to the fungi also having cell wall. And if you remember the biological classification of plants from class 9th, chapter number 7, diversity in living organisms, then you must have an idea of the 5 groups of plants. Let me repeat those groups: Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnosperms, and Angiosperms. These were the 5 groups we have studied in class 9th for plants. So the first group was Thallophyta, and it included all fungi and algae as plants. So now when we are going to study plants in chapter number 3, we are going to have the details of these groups, that why fungi are not included in plants nowadays, why some single cellular algae are now called photosynthetic protists, why blue-green algae or cyanobacteria are now included in Monera, and this is all about how classification changed over time, the objective number 1 of our video. So let's do not discuss that, only have one idea that we placed algae and fungi in the kingdom Plantae in the group Thallophyta. We are not going to study the group Thallophyta in this class 11th NCERT biology textbook, but yes, we are going to study the algae in the plants, but nowadays in the 6 kingdom classification we are not including algae also in the plants. So there are different criteria of classification. So my point here is why we included fungi in plants, because they have cell wall. Plants are also having cell wall, fungi are also having cell wall, and they don't move. That is why the scientists previously included fungi into plants. So here what I'm making clear that they do have cell wall, but the chemical is different. The cell wall of plant is composed of cellulose, and the cell wall of fungi is composed of a chemical which is called chitin. So it is made up of chitin, it is not made up of cellulose. So here what is written, without cellulose, or you can write the chitin. Chitin is the chemical which is present also on the outer shell of insects. So why these insects are appearing shiny and tough? If you see any cockroach or ant, so why insects are appearing shiny? Because they are also having coating of chitin. So this is the similarity between animals and fungi also. But they are also having the same chemical, plus they are heterotrophic. We will discuss this idea later. So here what I wanted to discuss, that for fungi, for plants and for animalia, that point number 2 is very clear. Animals don't have any cell wall, plants do have cell wall of cellulose, and fungi do have cell wall of chitin. Now for Monera and Protista, see from the same discussion, the bacteria were also included in plants previously, when we had only 2 kingdom classification, only plants and animals. As we know that Aristotle classified all organisms as plants and animals, and Carolus Linnaeus, who gave the binomial nomenclature, also classified all the creatures into plants and animals. And that time or after that time also, many scientists included bacteria also in the plants. Why? Because they also do have cell wall, but yes, the chemical is different. This thing you need to remember here, the chemical is polysaccharide plus amino acids, and we are going to learn about polysaccharides and amino acids in the chapter biomolecule, chapter number 8, biomolecules. So the third unit of our chapter number 8, 9 and 10 will be devoted to cells, biomolecules and cell division cycle or cell reproduction. So what we need to remember here is Monera, fungi and plants have cell walls and animals don't have cell walls. The only group which don't have cell wall at all are animals. Rest of the groups are having cell wall. That is why they all were included at some point of time in our history in the plants. But when we consider the Protista, then here what is written, present in some, because let me clarify one more thing. See, when we classify fungi, plantae and animalia, they have clear cut instructions, clear cut characters. Why? Because they have clear cut evolutionary history. They are sharing very clear common ancestor. That is why they have several things in common. All fungi are having several things in common, all animals are having several things in common, and all plants are having several things in common. When we studied about the 3 kingdom classification, sorry, 3 three domains of life, bacteria, archaea and eukarya, then we classified Protista, fungi, plantae and animalia in one super group which is called eukarya, because they all are eukaryotes. So what happened across the time, or over a period of time, few organisms which we placed previously in fungi, plantae and animalia are now placed in Protista. So protozoa, the animal like single cellular creatures, the familiar examples are amoeba, paramecium, plasmodium vivax. Those creatures are now included in Protista. Algae, which we are going to study in chapter number 3 with plants, are now included also in Protista. And some fungi, previously we are studying in fungi, for example slime molds, are now included in Protista. So yes, Protista is a diverse group, and if we study the change in classification in more detail, we come to know that now scientists are willing to split the Protista into several kingdoms, more than 10. Why? because protista is not well defined. Even in your class 11th NCERT textbook, when you are going to study about protista, one line is written there that the protista is including single cellular eukaryotes, but the boundaries are not well defined. So what does this mean? This simply means that all eukaryotic organisms which are not fungi, not plants and not animals are protista. So let me again clarify the statement. When we are talking about five kingdom classification or any classification, what are Monera? Monera are prokaryotic organisms having cells without nuclear envelope. What are fungi? Fungi are multicellular eukaryotic organisms which are having cell wall of chitin. What are plants? Plants are multicellular eukaryotic organisms which are having cell wall of cellulose and they are autotrophic. Although we have not discussed the mode of nutrition, if you remember from class 9 that plants are autotrophic and fungi are heterotrophic. And what are animals? Multicellular eukaryotic organisms which do not have cell wall and they are heterotrophic, of course. And when it comes to define protista, it is little bit difficult for class 9th. For ease of study and even for class 11th also we define as single cellular eukaryotes. So I hope you are getting my point that Monera are prokaryotes, simply prokaryotes. All prokaryotes are Monera. When we come to eukaryotes, they may be unicellular, they may be multicellular. Let me remind you one more thing, that all Monera will be unicellular for this time. So there will be no confusion that Monera are prokaryotes and they are unicellular. When it comes to eukaryotes, they may be unicellular, they may be multicellular. If they are unicellular, they will be protist. If they are multicellular with chitin cell wall and heterotrophic mode of nutrition, they will be fungi. If they are multicellular eukaryotes with autotrophic mode of nutrition with cellular, they will be plants. And if they are multicellular eukaryotes with heterotrophic mode of nutrition plus no cellular, they will be animals. So this is an oversimplified explanation to remember and to have very clear cut idea about these kingdoms. So what I want to state here that eukaryotic organisms which are not fungi, which are not plants, which are not animals are protista. So when I simply says that animals are multicellular eukaryotes with heterotrophic nutrition without cell wall, plants are multicellular eukaryotes with cell wall of cellulose with the autotrophic mode of nutrition, and fungi are multicellular eukaryotes with cell wall of chitin and heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Then this is an oversimplified definition because we know that yeast are single cellular fungi. So if yeast are single cellular fungi, why we are not including them in protista? Because that will be much more detailed review. So for now we can this definition will be very clear to us that the creatures and the organisms which are eukaryotic, it means they are not Monera. If I have said one word that eukaryote, it means they are not Monera. So eukaryotes which are not fungi, not plantae, not animalia are protista. So this will be the correct definition. But for class 11th biology or for class 9th science, you can say that unicellular eukaryotes are included in kingdom protista. That will be okay for you. So this video lecture will be very useful for class 9th also, because they are also having these five kingdoms and they are also having the groups in plants and animalia in detail. So if they also refer this video, they will be able to have an overview of the five kingdom classification. So till now I think or I hope the point number 1 will be very clear. The prokaryotic and other all Monera are prokaryotic, others are eukaryotic. Point number 3 itself is clear that Monera do not have any nuclear membrane, others have, that is why they were prokaryotic, and others are, rest of the groups are eukaryotic. Cell wall is clear, I think that animals don't have any cell wall. plants and fungi do have cellule, but fungi are having cellule with chitin. It means without cellulose. Plants are having cellule of cellulose. Monera are having slightly different cellule. It is made up of polysaccharides and amino acids. And in Protista, what is written? Present in some. So now you can have an idea why it is written, because it is a diverse group. So creatures which are eukaryotes, are not plants, not animals, not fungi, are included in Protista. So when we are going to study Protista in chapter number 2, you will learn 5 groups in Protista. Let me name those names, although you need not to bother about these names now. So chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, slime molds, euglenoids and protozoans. These are 5 groups. So when we are going to study these 5 groups, in one group you are going to find some plant like features, in other group you are going to have like fungi like features, and in other rest of the groups you are going to have animal like features. So in some plant like features, in some animal like features, in some fungi like features. So it is a diverse group. So it will have all the features, so present in some, absent in some. So to be very precise, the cell wall is going to be absent in the protozoa and euglenoids, because protozoa are the creatures which we are familiar with. We all are familiar with the amoeba, paramecium, plasmodium vivax, and other single cellular creatures which are spreading diseases. Now I think point number 1, 2 and 3 is clear to all. Now moving to the point number 4. So what is point number 4? The body organization. Now again I am repeating the statement. All prokaryotes are unicellular, but all unicellular organisms are not prokaryotes. What does this mean? This simply means that if any organism is prokaryotic, it is going to be unicellular. So we know that Monera are prokaryotic, and that is why they are not having any cell nuclear membrane, and they are unicellular. It means they are having cellular body organization. When it comes to eukaryotes, they may be unicellular, they may be multicellular. And from the definition of Protista from class 9th and from class 11th also, unicellular eukaryotes are included in Protista. So by remembering this point, we can simply identify or decipher that Protista are having cellular mode of body organization. So this definition is very clear. So the chapter the point number 4 is becoming very simple. Why? Because we know that all Monera are unicellular, and from the definition from class 9th and from class 11th of Protista is all single cellular eukaryotes are included in Protista. So it is very simple that these two groups are having cellular level of body organization. Other groups will have multicellular body. So plants, fungi and animals are multicellular eukaryotes. So if you want to remember these kingdoms also, very simply, Monera are prokaryotes unicellular without nuclear membrane, Protista are unicellular eukaryotes, and fungi are multicellular eukaryotes with cellule of chitin and heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Plants are multicellular eukaryotes with cellule of cellulose and autotrophic mode of nutrition, and animals are multicellular eukaryotes without cell wall and heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So here you can remember the body organization with tissue, organ and organ system. These few points you need to remember. So now moving to the last point, which is mode of nutrition. So from my previous discussion also, let me clarify one more thing. Animals are exclusively heterotrophic, and I think that in from class 7th onwards, in class 7th, the chapter number 1 and the chapter number 2 were the nutrition in plants, the chapter number 1, and nutrition in animals, the chapter number 2, and then that time we have clear cut idea about the heterotrophs and the autotrophs. The organisms which are able to make their own food are called autotrophs, and the organisms which are not able to make their own food are called heterotrophs. Then in class 10th we studied about ecology, the ecosystems, the food chains, the food web. That time also we had clear cut idea about autotrophs and heterotrophs. So I hope that you all are aware about the autotrophs and heterotrophs. So animals are exclusively heterotrophs. Why? Because they are dependent on other organisms for their food requirements or nutritional requirements, and plants are autotrophs. So these two terms are very clear from class 7 science to 10 science. So I hope that you need not to remember these two things. These two things we automatically know. And why plants are autotrophic? Because of photosynthesis. Because this the term photosynthesis we are studying so many times that it have become by heart. So the journey of science initiated with the photosynthesis, the nutrition plants, chapter number 1. Then in class 10th also we learnt about life process, chapter number 6 I think. So that time also we have learnt about the photosynthesis and the autotrophic mode of nutrition and the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. And finally we know that fungi are also heterotrophic. So here I want to clarify one more thing, very interesting thing. See, when we talk about plant, fungi and animalia, they all are multicellular eukaryotes. This is the similarity. What is the difference? Plants are autotrophs and fungi and animals are heterotrophs. So when I say the statement that multicellular, as soon as I pronounce this word multicellular, it means it is not Monera, it is not Protista, if you go for very simple definition. Because as I say multicellular, it means it can't be Monera. All Monera are single cellular. It can't be Protista, they are single cellular. So multicellular means fungi, plants or animals. If I am talking about the 5 kingdom classification. And if I say autotroph and multicellular, this simply means plants. Because plants are multicellular. If they are multicellular, they will be eukaryotes. Because all multicellular organisms are eukaryotes. As I said, that all that prokaryotes are always unicellular, and multicellular organisms are always eukaryotes. But yes, we do have some unicellular eukaryotes also. Then those are included in Protista by very simple definition. I am telling again. So for now, if I say multicellular eukaryote heterotroph, then there will be two things popping in our mind. What are those two groups? Those groups will be fungi and animalia, because these both are multicellular, both are eukaryotes. That is why they are included in domain eukarya, and they are heterotrophic. But then the difference comes. What is the difference? The difference is simple, that fungi are having cell wall and animals do not have any cell wall. And one more difference, if you don't want to talk about cell wall, if the information of cell wall is not available, then one more thing, that we animals ingest food and fungi absorbs food. I want to clarify this thing. Let's suppose that this is an animal. So all animals ingest food in body cavity, which is called gut or alimentary canal. They excrete it with the anus and they ingest it with the mouth. Sometimes mouth and anus are not clearly defined, so we can say that a digestive system is complete or incomplete. This is the topic of the chapter number 4. Here I am giving you very simple idea, that animals are ingesting their food in their body cavity, then digesting it, then absorbing it, then using it. And what fungi do? Fungi simply, suppose this is the food for fungi, then what fungi do? Fungi simply cover this food, secrete some digestive enzymes over it, and then digest it and simply absorbs it. So let me simplify my statement. Animals ingest food, fungi absorbs food. See, both are heterotrophic. Both are dependent on other organisms for their nutritional requirement. That is why they are heterotrophic. But the difference in the heterotrophism is also there. Fungi absorbs food and animals ingest food, and after ingestion we digest and then we absorb. So I hope the difference is clear to you in the fungi and in animals, if you are talking about heterotroph only. So again, if I say any organism is multicellular and ingest food, and do not have any cell wall, it means this is an animal. If I say multicellular and absorb food, if I do not give information about cell wall, you can assume that it is fungi, because animals don't absorb food. So nutrition requirements or food habits are clear for animals: heterotrophic, without cell wall, ingest food; plants autotrophic, they synthesize their own food by the process of photosynthesis, of course. And fungi are heterotrophic, absorb food, and they are saprophytic. What is saprophytic and parasitic? See, saprophytic means they depend on dead organic matter for their nutrition requirements. Sapro means dead. So nowadays we are not using the term saprophyte. We are using the term saprobe sometimes. Because why phyta? Phyta or phytic word means plants. So as we all know that in our previous classifications we are including algae and fungi in many monera and many protista in plants. So you will encounter these terms saprophytic. Otherwise we must use the term saprobe because they are microbes. So saprobe and saprophytic is the same thing. Saprophytic means plant which is dependent on dead organic matter, and because they are not plant at all, if we are classifying them in fungi, of course, so they are saprophytic or parasitic. Which means parasite means a parasite is a creature which depends on another creature for its nutrition requirements, and it is not eating it up. For example, lion eats the goat and it kills the goat. So this type of relationship is called predator and prey relationship. See, if we are talking about lion and goat, what happens there is lion kills and eats the goat. This is called, the goat is prey here and the lion is predator here. So this is called predator and prey relationship. And when we talk about saprophyte or sorry parasitic relationship, what happens there is that there is an, if there is an organism, for example this is a living creature or other animal or plant, and if this is a fungi, sorry this is a fungi, and it is getting nutrition from it, but it is not killing it, it is not killing it. Now this organism which is providing nutrition is called host, and the organism which is getting nutrition is called parasite. Parasite. So this I want to clarify here, that what is saprophytic and parasitic means when we are talking about fungi, and we are also going to have an detailed discussion of fungi. So fungi are heterotrophic and they may be saprophytic, they may be parasitic. Finally, when it comes to Monera protista, then you need to remember few things. What are those things? As you all know that protista is a diverse group. So again we are having some protista like fungi, some protista like plants, some protista like animals. So they will be autotrophic as well as heterotrophic. So I hope I helped you in remembering this table of 5 kingdoms, and I have covered I think 22 or 23 blocks in this table, although there are 25 blocks. So by this discussion itself we are able to remember the whole table. If you are confused, if you have some difficulty, you can rewatch this video because this information may be complicated for you, but I tried my best to simplify the idea, and I tried my best to make this video comfortable for class 11th biology as well as class 9th science students. Finally, when it comes to Monera, there are 3 types of nutrition written here: autotrophic, heterotrophic, and there are 2 types also of in autotrophic, chemosynthetic and photosynthetic. So what does this mean? This simply means we are having several types of bacteria because bacteria are very ancient. So we can find every mode of nutrition in bacteria. So when we are talking about plants, they are autotrophic. We have some bacteria which are autotrophic, like cyanobacteria or blue green algae, they are autotrophic. When we are talking about heterotrophic mode of nutrition, either we are talking about fungi or plants, sorry fungi or animals, then we do have bacteria which are heterotrophic also. When it comes to autotrophic, see, till now as we know that autotrophy means the photosynthesis with the help of sunlight and of course with chlorophyll and water. But yes, some bacteria have the capacity to use other resources than sunlight, and those bacteria are using chemical energy, and that is why they are called chemosynthetic bacteria. So we will learn more about chemosynthetic bacteria later. So for now I hope and I think that this table is clear to you all, girls and boys of class 11th biology, and of course of class 9 science also, and class 10th students can also watch this video to have better understanding of the living world. This video is for everyone from secondary to senior secondary who are studying biology and who are interested in biology. So finally I have some pictures for you. These are few pictures or few examples of domain archaea, uh, domain bacteria, or we can say kingdom Archaebacteria and kingdom Eubacteria. Why? Because in domain archaea only one kingdom is there, kingdom Archaebacteria, and in domain bacteria there is only one kingdom which is called Eubacteria, and that is why here the kingdoms and the domains are having the same name, bacteria archaea, because there is only one group included. That is why we can use these terms interchangeably. So let's have quick look on the other members of Eukarya: the Protista, fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. So thank you so much for your kind listening and patience listening, and my next lecture will be of Monera. So I will try to make 5 or less than 5 videos on these 5 kingdoms: Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae, and Animalia, and of course we are going to study in separate chapters also the plants and animals. So thank you so much.